If you love stories filled with romance, betrayal, and heartbreaking truths, this one will stay with you long after it ends. The sound that woke me wasn't the gentle buzz of an alarm or the quiet murmur of a hotel hallway. It was the unmistakable metallic click of a key turning in the door. My heart jolted and my breath caught in my throat. The glowing red numbers on the bedside clock read 6:03 a.m. Beside me, Noah was still asleep, his arm resting loosely around my waist, his warm breath brushing against my neck. Soft morning light filtered through the curtains, casting a hazy glow across the room and exposing everything we had done. But the sound of that key turning wasn't housekeeping. I recognized it instantly. My stomach sank. It was Ethan, my husband. I barely managed to whisper, "Get up," before the door slowly swung open. There he stood, Ethan, the man I had promised my life to 6 years earlier, frozen in the doorway as he stared at us. There was no yelling, no anger, no dramatic reaction, only silence. His expression revealed nothing as his eyes met mine before drifting to Noah, still confused and tangled in the sheets. The silence was unbearable, so heavy it felt impossible to breathe. He didn't say a single word. He simply let the hotel key slip from his fingers, the soft metallic clink echoing through the room, then quietly and deliberately closed the door behind him. My entire body trembled. Noah sat upright, his eyes wide as the truth slowly settled in. "Was that your husband?" he asked in a whisper. I couldn't answer. My hands scrambled for my clothes while my thoughts dissolved into panic and disbelief. How had he found me? I had hidden every possible clue. I told him I was spending the weekend with college friends and even created a fake Airbnb listing to make the story believable. Every lie had been planned, rehearsed, and carefully constructed, or so I believed. Now every bit of it collapsed in an instant. When I returned home about an hour later, Ethan's car was sitting in the driveway. I expected shouting, tears, or overwhelming anger. Instead, I walked into an empty house. There was no note, no missing suitcase, nothing at all. Only silence, the kind that settles heavily on your chest until breathing becomes difficult. For 3 days, I lived in complete misery. I called, texted, and pleaded for a reply, but Ethan had disappeared. He never showed up at work, his phone location was turned off, and the only sign he was still alive was a $3,000 withdrawal from our joint account. On the fourth day, I came home from the grocery store and nearly dropped everything when I saw him. He was sitting calmly on the couch, scrolling through his iPad as though nothing had happened. "Hi," he said in a steady voice that sounded almost too normal. My throat tightened. "Ethan, please. I'm so sorry. I don't even know where to begin. Please, just let me explain." He looked at me with a quiet calm that frightened me far more than anger ever could. "How long?" he asked. That brief hesitation, that single pause, told him everything he needed to know. The truth was already written across my face. I slowly sank onto the edge of the table as the words poured out through my tears. "It started a few months ago. I never wanted it to go this far. I was lonely. You felt so distant and—" He raised his hand gently. "Stop. I don't want excuses. I only wanted to know whether you'd lie." His voice remained calm and distant. Then, almost speaking to himself, he quietly added, "I didn't go to the hotel to catch you. I went there to surprise you. You'd been under so much stress, so I booked a spa package for you. When I arrived, the receptionist told me my wife had already checked in with another man." My heart sank. I couldn't find the words to respond. "I saw enough," he said quietly. That single sentence said everything. He stood up, picked up his car keys, and said, "I'll be staying at my sister's for a few days. Don't call me." Then he walked away, leaving me alone in the ruins of the life I had destroyed. The days that followed felt endless. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, and couldn't think clearly. I had broken the heart of the one person who had always stood beside me. Ethan wasn't only my husband, he was my comfort, my peace, the man who never stopped believing in me, and I had traded all of that love for a few hours of excitement. On the sixth day, I came home and found a manila envelope resting on the kitchen counter. My hands shook as I opened it. Inside were divorce papers. There was no note, no message, only a quiet sense of finality. My heart shattered all over again. I drove straight to his sister's house. She looked at me with sympathy before quietly letting me inside. Ethan was sitting on the patio with a mug of coffee in his hands, his expression impossible to read. I know I don't deserve another chance, I began, my voice trembling, but you need to know this wasn't because of you. It was because of me. I was selfish, foolish, and completely blind. I understand that now. I miss you. I love you. He remained silent for what felt like forever. Finally, he spoke. I believe you. I believe you're sorry, but love isn't measured by words. It's measured by the choices we make, and your choices have already been made. Tears rolled down my cheeks. Please, I whispered. He let out a quiet sigh. You can stay for dinner. Just dinner. It wasn't forgiveness, but it was something, a small reminder of what we once shared. We ate in silence, talking only about ordinary things. His niece's ballet recital, my job, meaningless conversations filling the empty space where love had once lived. When I reached across the table for his hand, he gently pulled it away. I'm not there, he said softly, and I don't know if I ever will be. 2 weeks later, I woke up to a message from him. It was a photograph. Ethan was smiling beside another woman, her hand resting gently on his. There was no caption, no explanation, only a truth I could no longer escape. He had moved on. In that moment, I finally understood. This wasn't revenge. It was the consequence of my own choices. I hadn't only betrayed him inside a hotel room, I had destroyed the life we built together, shattered a good man's trust in love, and buried the future we were supposed to share. The most painful part was realizing I still loved him, but love alone cannot erase the damage we cause. Sometimes I'm sorry comes far too late, and the person you desperately want back has already learned how to live without you.